wherever the flag goes, American boys go with it. And in Vietnam, in war, in the jungles, on the beaches, in the rivers, wherever there was combat, they called on these boys. And the greatest heroes of all were those that we remember today. And you go to our parents and wives and brothers and sisters. I want you to know that there have been Memorial Days in the past. As we think of this Memorial Day of 1969, I want you to remember that we're going to be thinking of them year by year by year in the future. Because those young men gave the greatest sacrifice of all. These are our heroes. This is Memorial Day.
One of my favorites is Gay Assembly, and it's a small church community in Marion County, and the name is traced to Gethsemane, and people not knowing what that fancy name meant simply associated with the gay church meetings they had, so they had Gay Assembly.
What are some of the others that are perhaps colorful or different?
Well, Ginger in Rains County has a long, intricate history in naming. First, they wanted to call it Coyd, C-O-Y-D, for a man's son, and that was going to be confused with Hoyd, H-O-Y-D. Then they decided that they would call it Spicer, but there was a railroad switch nearby that would cause confusion, and they were becoming quite irritable in all the problems in choosing the name. One man said, well, let's get it over with, but choose something spicy, so they chose Ginger.
Did you discover in the history of these towns that there were actually almost violence in over some of the naming of the towns?
Oh, yes. Families wouldn't speak to each other after the names were chosen, and there were bitter disagreements in deciding which person should be honored in the name. And today there are disagreements as to why the name was given, and some people will say that Shake Rag came from the threat of a teacher to spank the children so hard they'd have only rags left to shake, and others say no, it came from the custom of the housewife shaking a rag to call the men in from work.
With reference to your letter concerning the hazard to young children along the curved section of Peavy Road between Garland and Lake Highlands, Mrs. Sutton, we, as you, are concerned. However, there are certain restraints which we feel cannot be overcome concerning the safety that we can provide for young children. We feel that a slow sign placed along the side of the roadway doesn't provide children with adequate protection. It does not place proper limits on the speed at which vehicles can travel and therefore is not exact in controlling vehicles and advising them that children are at play. We have this section of PV Road posted as a 30-mile-per-hour speed zone, and the police department is adequately enforcing this speed limit. We feel that the citizens must cooperate with us to some degree in order to carry out a complete safety program, and parents need to exercise the responsibility necessary to see that children do not